The alien warlord laughed first. A deep, thunderous sound that echoed across the steel chamber, shaking dust off ancient beams. To him, the human standing below wasn't a threat, just a fragile creature wrapped in cloth and courage. But the human didn't flinch. He simply slid off his gloves, one slow pull at a time, revealing hands marked with strange, glowing scars. The warlord's laughter faltered, because whatever those marks were, they weren't human. And the man whispered, almost casually, "Watch closely. If that opening made your eyebrows lift even a little, you're in the right place." Before we dive into this unbelievable encounter between a weak human and a warlord who learned the truth the hard way, tap like, hit subscribe, and share this with someone who loves a good HFY twist. Alright, ready? Let's break down the journey ahead. The warlord expected trembling. That was usually the first thing he noticed when a human prisoner was dragged before him. The shaking knees, the darting eyes, the desperate hope that anyone would rescue them. But this one? This human stood in the center of the metallic hall like he belonged there. No armor, no weapons, just a steady gaze that refused to bow. The warlord leaned forward on his throne of welded bones, amused. How could a creature so small carry himself with that kind of certainty? His soldiers whispered among themselves, glancing from their commander to the quiet human who didn't blink, didn't swallow, didn't show the slightest sign of fear. "How interesting," the warlord rumbled, his voice echoing through the chamber. "You step into my hall as if you understand power." The human tilted his head, almost politely. "I understand mistakes," he replied. "And you're making one?" A ripple of laughter rolled through the room, sharp and metallic. The warlord slapped a hand against his throne, delighted. A human daring to talk back? That alone was entertainment. But beneath his laughter, a faint irritation stirred, because the human's tone wasn't defiant. It was confident. Too confident. And that was the first sign the warlord should have paid attention to. The warlord rose from his throne, each step shaking the floor. He towered over the human like a living mountain wrapped in plated armor. Most prisoners collapsed under that shadow alone. Yet this human's breathing stayed calm, measured, almost bored, as if he were waiting for a bus, not facing a warlord known for crushing skulls with one hand. "You don't fear me," the warlord growled, narrowing his ember-bright eyes. "That is unusual," the human simply shrugged. "Fear's useful, but not today." That answer unsettled the soldiers more than the warlord. They had seen seasoned fighters cry at the mere sight of their commander. But the human's voice held no bravado, no shaking, no desperation. Just a quiet truth spoken like a fact of nature. The warlord circled him, analyzing every twitch, every breath. Something didn't match. This wasn't the posture of a doomed man. This was someone holding a card face down, waiting for the right moment to flip it. "What are you hiding?" the warlord demanded. The human's lips curved, not into a smile, but something sharper. "Enough!" The warlord paused. "Enough for what? Enough to survive? Enough to fight? Enough to win?" He didn't know. And for the first time, that bothered him. The warlord's patience finally snapped. With a flick of his wrist, he signaled his guards to tighten the circle. Energy spears hummed to life, casting sharp blue shadows across the chamber. Any normal human would have panicked at the sight, but this one simply exhaled, slow and steady, like he had been waiting for this exact moment. Then he reached for his gloves. The warlord frowned. Why would a human focus on something so trivial? But the way the man pulled the fabric loose, calm, methodical, almost ceremonial, made the room grow strangely quiet. The first glove slipped off, revealing skin etched with faint luminous lines, pulsing like circuitry woven into flesh. The guard stepped back. The warlord leaned in, confusion narrowing into unease. "What is that?" The human dropped the second glove. The markings flared brighter, spreading across his palms like living constellations. "You mocked humans," he said softly, "but you never bothered to learn what we've survived, or what we've become." A thin silence cut through the chamber as the warlord recognized a truth he didn't want to accept. Those markings weren't T-scars, they were interfaces. And whatever they connected to was waking up. A low hum built around the human, almost too soft to notice until the floor panels began to vibrate. The markings on his hands flared brighter, forming geometric patterns that spiraled up his wrists like awakening machinery. The guards raised their spears, but hesitation froze them in place. Something deep in their instincts screamed back away. Then the human lifted one hand. The Warlord's throne, a welded monstrosity weighing nearly a ton, tore free from the floor and hovered in midair. No strain, no effort. Just a calm expression on the human's face, as if he were demonstrating a simple trick. "You think strength is measured by size," the human said. "But for us, strength is adaptation." With a flick of his fingers, the massive throne spun slowly, suspended by invisible force. Sparks rained down as cables snapped free from the floor. The Warlord stumbled back, shocked. This wasn't sorcery. This wasn't technology he recognized. This was something far more terrifying, a fusion of flesh and machine, will and energy, human and impossible. The throne slammed down beside him, cracking the steel tiles. The human lowered his glowing hands. "Now," he said. "Do you still want to laugh?" Silence gripped the chamber. The Warlord, once the loudest presence in the room, could barely breathe. His soldiers, creatures bred for war, lowered their weapons without being ordered to. The human stood alone in the center, hands fading back to their dim glow like a storm settling. "You... what are you?" the Warlord whispered. The human didn't gloat. He didn't posture. He simply answered, "A reminder," the Warlord frowned. "Of what?" "That underestimating humans," the man said, stepping forward, "has ended more empires than war ever did." The Warlord swallowed hard, the truth sinking in. This wasn't a soldier. This wasn't a prisoner. This was a message from a species that had clawed its way through extinction events, cosmic anomalies, and their own destructive tendencies, and had learned to turn adversity into power. He knelt, not out of defeat. Out of respect, the human nodded once, satisfied. "Good. Then maybe your people will survive what's coming?" "Coming?" the Warlord asked, eyes wide. The human slipped his gloves back on, the lights fading completely. "You'll understand soon." With that, he walked out, leaving an entire war chamber stunned and a Warlord forever changed. If you enjoyed that moment where the weak human flipped the entire battlefield dynamic with nothing but calm confidence and a pair of glowing hands, make sure to hit like. It tells the algorithm this story was worth your time. Subscribe for more hfyTales and share this with someone who loves seeing humanity surprise the galaxy again and again. Thanks for watching, and remember,